Hello, folks. It's Tuesday again, this time October 15th, 2024. As usual, it's me again, Todor Vladov, your favorite host, and we are back with the 38th episode of Keeping It Realistic, a show in collaboration with Chaos, during which we take a look at some interesting news, events, tutorials, but also interesting upcoming events revolving around Chaos. We occasionally discuss topics relevant to the group and the visualization field as a whole. In this case, today, the topic that we'll be discussing will be a challenge upcoming for the group for the next 2 months. And last but not least, of course, we review some of your works, both work in progress projects and finished ones, shared in the Chaos Campus Facebook group within the last 14 days, talking about their strengths, but also pointing out their weaknesses and even suggesting eventual ways to improve them. And remember, we do all of this as a live session instead of a recording so that you have the chance to actively participate in those discussions, interact with myself, interact with each other. So please don't hesitate to do so. Be active, say hi, voice your opinion, ask questions, suggest stuff, and just once again, just be active. And with this out of the way, welcome everyone. I see a lot of you being here already. Danushka, Kama, Amit, Abdi, Juan, Anna. It's great to have you here, guys. I hope you're having a good day, good week, a good month of October. Gladly let me know how do you actually do. It's not just something I say out of politeness. I actually do care about you. I hope you have seen this um, within the last year or more since we started doing these shows. So yeah, let me know how do you do. It's great to have you here today. We'll have a pretty long show, but a very like normally long. All the shows are around 2 hours. Today's will also be no exception to this. However, that will cover lots of topics from news, tutorials to work in progress projects to finalized ones, and we'll also announce a challenge with a bit of a lesson to it, so to speak. So it will be very, very interesting. So let's buckle up and just take a look at what this show holds for us. I see Simon joined us as well, and yeah, the group's here. It's great. So we will do what we usually do in the beginning of the show. We'll take a moment to appreciate today's cover image. By the way, folks, please remind me after that to show myself, because it happens that I forget about it and I remain hidden until the end of the show. Unless you really want me to or you don't want to see me, then don't remind me. But otherwise, please do, because I deadly forget about this. Amit says rains are never ending in India, and so is the heat. It's hot in the mornings and evenings are rainy with lighting. Oh, this sounds like something I wouldn't enjoy very much, because humid, hot weather is my kryptonite. I just cannot deal with it. Even if it's like not really hot, even if it's like around 25 degrees and I'm out. So yeah, hold on. I hope it gets better. But you're probably also used to it. Giuseppe joined us. Hello, man. We'll be talking about your work at the end of today's show, so in around an hour and 50 minutes or something. But yeah, let's take a look at today's cover image. The works for which were contributed by Rafael, Bilal, and Giuseppe, who just joined us in the comments. Bilal has already been featured a couple of times. For Rafael and Giuseppe, it is actually a first timer, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, congrats to all three artists. Our last cover triptych was kind of dark and gritty, and this one is pretty much the opposite. It's warm, it's welcoming, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Now, I'll show myself. I didn't forget it. Sorry for those of you who didn't want to see me anymore. But yeah, in the meantime, we actually have two cover images to enjoy in the beginning of the show, because since a few shows back, we introduced Best Image of the last 2 weeks, where I show you five contenders. I pick them out of all the images that have been posted within in the span of those 2 weeks between two episodes of the show. I pick five images out of those and then show them to you, and you'll get the chance to vote for them. First time it was Diego, He won with his awesome Solomon's living room, bedroom, I'm sorry, and his image was now replaced by Mahmoud's image with the Baghdad market, which is an amazing image. I really like how they turn out, even with the Chaos Campus logo on it. We have the vendor here with his body language being like, "Are you not entertained?" Showing at the Chaos Campus logo. Really enjoyed. I hope you do too. Amit has written something nice cover though. It feels the guy is saying Chaos Campus with open hands. Exactly my thoughts. What do you think of this cover page I'm attaching below? But that would be changing Mahmoud's work. So this is your suggestion. Oh, you cut off the woman. Well, why would you do that? I think she's a good cool part of this image. But you can gladly put your thoughts in the comments right now. I'll be curious to know. You did a good job removing her, let's say, but I wouldn't know why because otherwise this part of the scene is kind of empty, and also she's a cool addition to it because she's like a different element, and she puts a bit of contrast and tension to the image. Fletson joined us, Avishka. Um, Amit says, I just wanted to concentrate on the guy with the logo. Yeah, thought so. Of course, the more elements we have, the less or the more difficult it is to focus. I absolutely understand this, but I actually don't want to change the artist's image. I want I have to crop them already, which is already a change on my side, but I want to interfere as less as possible with them because the images are the way they are, and this is art. I don't want to interfere with it too much. I just put it there and put the chaos logo on top of it, and also a small tag with the artist so that they get some exposure. This is the final goal of this thing. The 5 new contenders for that you get the chance to vote for the next 2 weeks, I will introduce in the very end of today's show. And remember, the winners. It's not only becoming the cover image of the group and getting the exposure because of it and the recognition. It's also that the winners of every 2 weeks will compete against each other in the end of the year, and the best ones will actually get the chance to win prizes by chaos, which is actually pretty sweet. Amit says, "Sorry, Mahmoud, if I crossed the line with your work." No, we're a community. There is art, and where art is, there are also discussions and subjectivity. So if you found the image to be more focused without the girl, because you find her to be distracting there, then I understand this. And in the end, again, I think it's my part to actually put the image there the way the original artist did it, but discussing about it is always welcome, I would say. I see Mustafa joined us, Bilal, Alan is here. It's the full squad. It's really cool. Very glad to have you here, guys, once again. Now, we were just talking about winners of competitions. So let's continue with this topic. The winners of the 2024 3D Awards competition by CG Architect were announced at the World Visualization Festival. By the way, I know some of you, I think I saw Anna somewhere in the comments. Mike was there, Katzper was there. I know some of you actually attended this one, so gladly share in the comments or maybe in a post in the group how you feel about it. So far, I have seen nothing but overwhelmingly positive responses, not only for the program and the panels and the topics discussed, but also for the whole organization, atmosphere, even the food. Everybody has been nothing but happy with this festival. So yeah, Anna says, yeah, I've been there, correct. Well, please tell us a bit more about your impression. Seems like you are also happy, I think I saw, but yeah, you can surely tell us a bit more. Abdi tunes in once again to our cover image. He says the girl looks more like a statue, in my opinion, kind of out of life, just a personal view. Yeah, we discussed this during the last show. She's a bit like a mannequin, like a wax figure, or like computer gamey. But nevertheless, once again, this is the vision of the original artist, and this is something that I don't want to interfere with. But I really enjoy it the way it is, and I really like how this dude is actually pointing out to the Chaos Campus. It very nicely fits with this thing. Anyway, back to the winners of the CG Architect 3D Awards 2024. Obviously, we have very, very good contributions in different categories: commissioned images, non-commissioned images, films, studio of the year, brick visual, no big surprise here, honestly. And something that makes me really, really happy is this one down here, winner of Viz Pro of the year. This is Mohammed Ali Salih. And if you remember, on our 12th episode of the show, we actually talked about his work. We reviewed it here live, and he was in the comments. And it was a great talk, and he really appreciated this. And what this comes to show are actually two things. First of all, our group, maybe for some it is just a rookie group and everything it has to offer are beginners asking questions. And while it's true that we do have artists that are in the beginning of their career and maybe not very experienced, we also have a ton of very skilled and seasoned veterans as well, like Mohammed here, who just won Viz Pro of the Year 2024 by CG Architect. So a very internationally acknowledged artist. And the second thing is that nobody is immune to constructive criticism. Even though his work is already amazing, very skillfully put off, and I got a lot of praise for it. I still had some points that I criticized, and he actually agreed with, and still his work is chosen to be the best. And I absolutely agree with this decision. But it just comes to show that everyone can improve, even the best artists out there. Feedback is always something positive in my eyes. So yeah, this is just wanted to show you this. Anna says, "Oh, I saw that you had a comment, and then your comment kind of disappeared, if I'm not mistaken. But I think she was starting to say that it was amazing, and then the comment disappeared." Okay. Okay, let's continue then with the second topic, and we'll stay at the good news because, yes, you guys already saw this, but we reached the 5,000 group members milestone for the Chaos Campus, and this is actually very, very cool. I let the 5,000 person in on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I was waiting. Usually on the weekends, I don't do stuff related to work or even the group, but I was waiting for my family to prepare for a hike, and I was already outside, and I checked the group, saw that a lot of people wanted to come in, so I started letting them in, and then I saw that we've reached even more than 5,000 people, and this is something that Nikos, also known as the Hawkeye Nikolopoulos, also very quickly saw, and he made this awesome post to celebrate it. And I think there is a good reason to celebrate this because the more this group grows, the more the stronger the community becomes, and everyone profits from a strong community. So yeah, I think congratulations to all of us, and let's hope that we will also soon reach the next milestone, which to me personally wouldn't be the 6 or 7,000, but the 10K. So let's all work to make it happen. Gladly share this about this group or your experiences with it and with the community, with everyone else around you who's into 3D. Invite them in, and let's just make the most awesome community about visualization on the internet within the limits of this group. Amit says, "Theo, did you find Bilbo and Frodo or Shire?" Well, no, but I didn't find anything special actually. I don't really like hiking to reach the culmination point. I just like the hiking for the laid back time and for just walking around, enjoying time with my family and especially my kids. So yeah, it's not really the goal for me. It's the way there. And but yeah, we would fly a bit of kite in the end because it was windy, and we made a nice tour, and everybody was happy. So yeah, I cannot complain. Thanks for asking. Okay, let's continue with the next topic. We are talking so much in the chat that I forgot what the next topic is going to be about. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you because we talk about the community, we talk about the group. Remember that we actually keep track of the most active members, especially when it comes to comment activity, to helping others. And by the end of the month, we figure out who have been the most active ones. And in the beginning of the next month, we publish this list. So here you see the most active members for September. It have been Amit, Danushka, Ahmed, Abdi, and Kama. Four of them at least are now in the commands, which is very, very cool. And once again, it's not only the satisfaction you get by being active in the community and helping others. In the end of the year, the most active members will also get some type of rewards. With the first one, if I'm not mistaken, will be a 1 year license for a Chaos render engine of your choice. So yeah, it's your only reward won't be only the satisfaction of helping others, but also an actual reward from Chaos. So it pays off to be active in this community as well. Just say. Abdi says, "Come on, we all do it to find some trolls." Oh, people, I like how you have really good mood today. It's always a pleasure to hang around you guys. Okay, let's continue with the Chaos event calendar. This is something that we usually look at in the very beginning of the news section, but today I wanted to start in a different way. I want to show to always be, interesting and exciting for you and not just follow the same steps every time. Also, we know most of the dates here. There are a lot of those, but we've talked about many of them. The new ones here is the Tokyo event, the Chaos Unboxed in Tokyo and Paris. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to click on learn more here because both event pages are in the respective language, so in Japanese and French, and I speak neither of those languages. I cannot understand anything, but let's say the mood boards look very, very promising, and I'm very happy to see more and more Chaos Unboxed events, especially ones happening elsewhere, as you know, in Europe and North America, like here with Tokyo, for example. And one other thing that caught my eye and attention is the Chaos Cafe in Culemborg, the Netherlands. This page is in Dutch, and Dutch is let's say, a weird sounding combination between German and English, and I speak both languages, so I can understand what it says here. What I cannot quite figure out is what's the difference between a Chaos Cafe, and this is like the very first Chaos Cafe, it says here, and a Chaos Unboxed event, because it seems like both are free of charge, which is amazing actually, because you don't only get to listen to very talented and skilled people and talk to them in person, but there are also some food and drinks. You can hang out with everybody. It's actually amazing that something like this, the Chaos Unboxed event or this Chaos Cafe, are actually free of charge. But the program seems very similar to what we usually get with the Chaos Unboxed event, just it starts earlier and ends earlier as well. Kama says, call me for the French translation tale. I will gladly do. But yeah, obviously it doesn't make sense to go to those. I mean, if you want to go to the events, you got to speak those languages. If you don't speak them, it doesn't matter if you visit the landing pages or not. Anyway, I would gladly try to figure out where this Chaos Cafe comes from, if it's maybe going to be the Chaos Unboxed events of the future, like Chaos Unboxed was 2024, and in future every meeting or event like this will just be called Chaos Cafe, or it is something entirely different. But in the end of the day, the more of those we have, the better, I would say, because they're absolutely amazing events. Anna, we're talking about events. I think she has some feedback. Mario joined us. Hello, man. Let's take a look at Anna's feedback. She says, it's been amazing to meet some people that I already met on the previous edition and to have new valuable encounters. Talking with practitioners in the field is something that's why it's definitely worth coming into such kind of events. But also learning about Arvis from the business side, because most of these people coming there are active entrepreneurs. This makes a lot of sense, and it sounds really, really awesome. It's true. Especially if you're self-employed or want to have your own studio, it's not enough to be a good artist. You also need to know your way around business. So yeah, what you just say is actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm very, very happy to hear how happy you are and satisfied with your experience with the World Visualization Festival. Seems like something that next year I'll have to attend myself. Hope I'll meet you there. Giuseppe says, Theo was there as a speaker at Chaos Unboxed in Milan. If you came, we would meet. I know that you were there. How was it? Did you enjoy it? Unfortunately, I assume everything was in Italian, or was it in English? Then I would have understood something. But yeah, I would gladly travel to to some of those events. You know, when my kids grow a bit older, then we would just start visiting, you know, the countries, let's say, or the cities, in this case, Milan, and just seeing you guys in person. I would love to meet all of you actually in person and get to know you better. Abdi says, I think it's called cafe just because it will be in Amsterdam. Really mean that. Oh yeah, this okay, okay. So it's not unboxed. It's cafe because it's Amsterdam. This actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe who knows? I'll ask Suave next time we talk. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. And it is the yes, of course. I just saw the announcement. Nikos posted it in the group. The upcoming Chaos Campus live show. It's going to be this Thursday, October 17th at 5 p.m. And the guest will be Maria from Narrative, great artist. So totally recommend go and watch it. I'll be there for sure. And one other online event that I want to recommend to you, it's the Forest Pack 9 live stream. It's kind of a webinar that will happen tomorrow, October 16th at 2 p.m. Central European time. And I2 Soft will be talking about the new features of Forest Pack 9 and, of course, Forest Ivy, which is, of course, absolutely amazing. And they will also be answering your questions. So if you have already installed this, if you have the paid version with Forest Ivy, maybe today is a good day to try it out, see if you have any questions or something, and then ask them. The folks over at I2Soft are very kind, always helpful. I have had issues with Clone or with Forest Pack in the past, and I have asked them, and they have always helped me solve my problem. So use this stream to maybe figure out stuff that you couldn't figure out on your own or you don't really understand. It will happen tomorrow. Abdi says, freaking awesome, don't miss it. Absolutely. Okay, so this was maybe a good way to move over to the learning part after 23 minutes because we talked about the webinar. Let me show you something by Bilal. It's actually a tutorial by our group member Bilal last session on the last episode of the show. When it came to campus learning, we also started with Bilal's tutorials. It was two last time. This time it's only one, a great one though. This time it's for Max and Corona. It seems like Bilal is actually pretty fit in both Corona and V-Ray, so his tutorials kind of switch between those two engines. This one particularly is for Corona, and here he shows how to create these bathroom shots from scratch after a reference. So there will be a modeling phase. It is nicely fragmented down here. Then there is a material phase where he shows how he creates his materials, lighting setup, and then background and general render setup. So you can absolutely follow along. It's quite long. It's almost 3 hours. But this is a good thing because it's worth your time because once again, if you start along with him, you can actually maybe able to follow along with him. I think there are some project files also on Patreon, which, I mean, it's always great to support an artist, but yeah, those of you who cannot afford it, they can just follow along. Those of you who can afford it and want to support him, because he's doing a really great job with those tutorials, they can maybe support him on Patreon here. What was very interesting to me was the choice of background um, sound. I don't know how you came up with this one, man. You're in the comments. Please let me know why this, because it's like pouring rain. It's calming and stuff. I understand it, but I think that a lot of your viewers will have a definite urge to visit the restroom very often while watching this stream with sound on. Okay, let's move over to something else. Yeah, talking about stuff created from scratch. I found this article on the Chaos Facebook page, you know, the official Chaos Facebook page. This is something that I often show in this during our shows because there is always something new, something interesting to see there. And the one that caught my curiosity the most this time was this Vantage Summer Villa project. It's like a blog post. It's called From Concept to Creation, crafting a summer villa animation with Vantage. And I gotta say, it's not necessarily the outcome, but the backstory of this project that impressed me here a lot because the artist, let me butcher his name really quickly. His name is Hamid Reza Zalnejad or Razal, better known as. He actually shares a lot of you know backstory about the creation and development of this project, starting from the general concept, his storytelling ideas, the challenges he faced, and the limitations of the software. Because this was down here somewhere. Yeah, animation challenges, troubleshooting, and solutions. Vantage is very powerful, but it's not completely finished. It's not in its final form. There are still some limitations, some materials that are not supported, and sometimes we face these limitations and need to find a workaround. And this is exactly what he shares here. And this is what makes this article so compelling to me. Definitely a recommendable read on my side. Bilal said, it's rain and keyboard sound together. You notice it. Yeah, I noticed it, but it's kind of like, I don't know, hearing pouring water for a long time, it kind of urges people to pee, just so you know. Okay, talking about Vantage and how powerful it is, because Vantage is really, really awesome. This is my absolutely honest opinion, not because I collaborate with Chaos. I'm even in the process of um, planning and soon start to creating a project especially to train Vantage with. So yeah, if you are into VRA or Vantage, check out this real-time workflow with VRA and Vantage by CG Architect and Chaos. It's quite a short video. You can watch it while smoking if you support this unhealthy lifestyle, or having your coffee or whatever. But because it's short, but it actually covers tons and tons of topics from the initial setup. If you take a look down here, you'll see there is introductional part, how to start Vantage, the key settings, creating V-Ray sun and clouds, using HDRIs, scattering stuff around, shading, camera animation, color corrections, final render. So it's short, but there are lots of topics covered, and I really, really liked this one and can wholeheartedly recommend it to you. Abdi says, I use those noises a lot in the background while working. It gives you a sense of not being alone while working night shifts, and it also calms and helps your productivity. Give it a run. There are web pages with those noises. Oh, this is really sweet. Thanks for sharing the page as well. I will. I don't know if I'm as resistant as you are to to sounds like this. I prefer music actually. This is why I have my Spotify lists. And if you wanted to support me in your life, um, at some point, this is how you can do it. Just check out Hell Station FM on Spotify, and there are many music lists of mine there. You're not supporting me money wise or something, but this is something which really matters to me. If people say they like my music, it's actually something that almost means more to me than if they say they like my renders for some reason. Um, Abdi says, sorry, but at this stage, Vantage is not more than a nice idea. Working with it is nightmare right now. I hope they will fix the stuff soon. Yeah, I don't know what are your concerns. What doesn't work the way you want it to? Last time I tried it out, it ran exactly as I needed it. I'm not very much into it, not so much as you are. But yeah, you can gladly share your concerns. This is something which, and better not actually to me, but so much as to the chaos, to the chaos stuff, because they are the ones who need to know where the issues are and what to work on. So, and they really tend to listen to the feedback. They cannot, of course, implement it at the moment, but yeah, they really do their best to actually listen and implement the changes needed by the artist. So please share it to somewhere at Chaos, or open a ticket for that, and I'm sure you'll get some type of resolvement, or at least the knowledge that they will be fixing this and that for the next version or something like this. Um, Everybody's now asking for my Spotify. I'll gladly share it with you guys. This was more or less a joke. You don't have to like my Spotify, but I have different stations. I have metal stations, or rock, or disco, or party, or sadness, or whatever. So yeah, if you are in a certain mood, you can maybe refer to some of my radio stations on Spotify. For some reason, this makes me really happy. Monique joined us. Hello, Monique. Glad to have you. You're right on time for our topic for the day. I will share them, Alan. Thank you. And you stay here because I'll be showing some examples of your and Miha's work. So, topic for today. I think it's time for a challenge. Last challenge we did was in the beginning of this year. So it's been a few months already. And I think it's time for a new one. And without any further ado, I will just show you what the topic is about. It will be project visualization. Now, if you ask yourself, why I do ArcVis, why should I suddenly do project visualization? Well, for two reasons. First of all, the Chaos Campus is not an ArcVis group. The Chaos Campus is a 3D artist visualization community for people who use Chaos render engines for their work, but it's not merely ArcVis group. So it's to be expected that there are different topics such as automotive rendering or VFX or whatever in this group as well, or next to the ArcVis. Now I know that a lot of you, or maybe most of you, are into ArcVis. I myself am into ArcVis too. But you know what? Things actually happen. First of all, it's good to try out different things or new things from time to time. It's good for you as an artist. And also, once again, things happen. Just imagine following situation. You're in the waiting room by your dentist, waiting for your appointment time to come, and suddenly the person next to you starts a small talk. And within this small talk, it turns out that you share that you're a 3D artist, and they say something along the lines of, "Oh, you are? I'm just looking for a 3D artist for to visualize my project that I just came up with." Would you then say, nah, I'm into ArcVis, I won't do any other thing other than ArcVis? It will probably won't be that great. Also, you have your portfolios out there on social media and people see them. And a lot of clients think like this. If a certain artist is able to pull off a great looking interior, they will probably also be able to visualize my project as well. I mean, it's kind of logical, isn't it? And situations like this really, really happen. For example, after 11 years of architectural visualization, this is how my page looks like. You see architectural visualization is almost everything that you see here. One of the largest lamp producers in whole of Germany reached out and wanted that I visualize his lamps. So yeah, you never know, and it's good to be prepared. The other thing is that this is a pretty flexible task. So it's up to you to decide how much of your, how much you'll be doing depending on how much time you have on your hands and on your proficiency level as well. And with a task like this, you can very much control it. Our last challenge was Winter in the City, and this was something which needed a lot of time invested into it in order to be able to create something compelling as a final outcome. But in this case, you don't have to go big to create something which is impressive. But yeah, let me maybe tell you about the goals of this competition. So you need to choose a project first. It could be a real project or an imaginary one. The project, let's say it's this microphone that I have. You can just do the measurements on it and then start recreating it. Because the second step, or the first main step actually, will be for you to model and texture said project from scratch. And why is that? It's not for me to torture you. It's because if a situation like this happens in real life, and this can happen, as I already told you, then you won't be able to just go to the Cosmos library or to 3D Sky and grab the model of your client, because it most likely is going to be something new your client came up with, and you won't be able to find a model of it out there, and you have to model it on your own. I hope this makes sense. So you need to model whatever you choose to visualize as your project. You need to model from scratch and then texture accordingly. Please provide some proof about this. So make some screenshots or something along the way of creating this so that we can see that it was you who made this. Because once again, this is what makes sense for this challenge. And then as a next step, you need to visualize your project in an attractive and fitting way. Obviously, this makes sense as well, I hope. Um, Please don't share old projects or something that you have already worked on and it's like a, let's say, project visualization. Don't just throw it into the group and say, yeah, this is my contribution. I even thought about asking you to put your name or Chaos or the Chaos logo somewhere. But, if you wanted to cheat, you find a way to do so. So I'm just asking you, please take some screenshots of the modeling and texturing phase, and do this project specifically for this challenge and don't post something old of yours. We actually check every work that is posted, and if we find out it's already in your portfolio on your social media or so, we'll just won't include it among the final contenders anyway. The deadline will be in the middle of December or the end of December. I'm not quite sure, but you have around 2 months or even a bit more to complete this task. Gustavo says, hello, this live will be saved in the group content. Yes, the live, there will be a recording once we're finished, which will be around 6 p.m. Central European time. The recording was created in a few minutes, and then it's in the group for you to watch whenever you please. Okay, everybody help Gustavo. You didn't need me. This is awesome. Thank you, folks. Okay, so this would be the task for you for the next 2 months. It would be great if you participated, but because this is a campus, this is not, just something where we just give you work to do. This is a campus. We also teach you stuff. So I think it would be a good idea to talk about one of the points that I just mentioned, which was visualizing your project in an attractive and fitting way. So I found this article on the Digital Art That Rocks, which summarizes the 4 most common types of project shots. I'll share this one later. You don't need to save it now. But let us together go through the, let's say, major, most common types and take a look at them and examine them for a while. So the first and most basic type is the pack shot. It's simple, it is factual, it gives a clear and accurate representation of the object without any distractions. I will start showing you some examples of mine as well. So let's remove this one and open this one. So yeah, here is an example of mine. It is a lamp, as you can see, in front of a bright gray background. It's not white, it's bright gray, but it's more or less the same. It's monocolored, and everything we need to concentrate on here is the project itself and its features. So we see the canopy, we see the cables, we see the combinizer and the orbs. Everything there is to it, we see. However, it's once again very informational, but on the flip side, it lacks emotion. So it would be way cooler if we could have this thing here put in a situation, like here, for example, because this way it is easier for all potential clients to actually imagine how this lamp looks like in real life conditions. And this leads us to the second type of project shot, which is the environmental project shots. Environmental project shots create this sense of place. Let's analyze this scene that they have here as an example. So we see the purple yoga mat, we see the yoga, whatever this thing is called, cube, the towel, the probably lightweight pink dumbbells, the plants in the corner. So it's kind of safe to assume that most probably a lady which is after a healthy lifestyle has set up this situation. And this is where the people decided to place their project. The VB water, which seems to be something healthy with 27% fiber, whatnot. So you see this, what they do here, they create this visual harmony. So this water, table water or mineral water promises to be beneficial to somebody's health. And that's why they put them in a situation where somebody is obviously using to also do something beneficial to their health, and this bottle kind of adds up to it. So, because there is always only one example here, let's get back to my examples and take a look at some others. First one, this fridge, for example. They don't show the whole kitchen here. Why? Because it would be distracting. You don't want to see the whole kitchen. It's not about the kitchen, it's about the fridge. But they still put it in built in, because this is a fridge that's been built in. And they put it in a situation where it's built in, and they put it next to a dining table situation so that the associations are very clear. This is a work of mine. This is actually a recreation, let's say a daily exercise, a recreation of the Hikari house, a room of it. But I recreated it because I'm a sucker for this type of striped lighting. I just love it and wanted to recreate it to see how it actually works, because I know it always looks easier than it's actually is to pull off in 3D. Managed to do it in the end, but if you take a look at the shot on its own, you will see that this is actually a great environmental product shot for this sideboard down here, because we see it put in a situation where it makes a lot of sense. It fits the general architectural design language, and it's also kind of shown in its function holding some items. Abdi says we can share images in the chat. Can we? No, we cannot. For some reason, I don't know. It's not me who's restricting this. Okay, here we see the same object from the side. Here we see the depth of it a bit from the sides of these fronts, but here it's kind of like the main environmental shot, which I think is really, really cool. Let's continue with the one that you saw in the beginning. This is actually just placed here on this, whatever this is, side table in this bathroom. You'll probably notice that these two images have kind of a different tone mapping to them. This one is kind of coldish, whereas this one has a more warm tone, overall tone to it. The reason for this is that they actually don't belong to the same session. They are in the same space, but they don't belong to the same session. The reason for that is, sorry, wrong direction. This one is actually an architectural shot. It focuses around this bathroom, and this is its only purpose, whereas this one is a project shot, and this is why I gave it a bit of a different tone mapping, a warmer one, in order to make it more desirable and appealing visually. Then we have another example by our friends over at Duovis in Slovenia, Alan and Micha. Alan is in the comments right now. You remember I told you about this big lamp manufacturer from Germany that reached out. This project was way too big for me alone, so I reached out to Duovis so that we collaborate on this project. And this is what we're doing, and this is an image created by them. This is a great example of environmental project shot, because you see we have set up this situation where there is like a teeny desk at home, and there are the lamps by the client. Actually, these one are also by the client, but these are not the main, attracting here. In this case, it's those two lamps that are just being lit up and lighting up part of this situation, and you see how nicely they stick out, but in an environment that makes a lot of sense for them. Okay, let's continue with the next type, which is the project in use lifestyle shot, also called action shot, which to me more or less is a more advanced version of the environmental shot, where the project is shown being used or in use. Obviously, this is a more dynamic shot because it has some kind of movement of an action in it. Personally, I don't think that this is a good example that they have used here, because the woman is just holding a box of fried chicken. There is no action which corresponds to the fried chicken. She's just holding it. She could have been holding everything. So we'll go back to my examples, and I'll continue showing you better examples for those lifestyle or action shots. Take a look at this one, for example. We have a skewer which is being used on a grill. This makes a lot of sense. You see the object in use, you immediately know what it's all about. This is, of course, the goal here. The functionality is clearly shown, so you can immediately understand what the whole thing is about. Here we have another example. This is some type of a, I don't know, docking station, charging pod, player, alarm clock, whatever this is. but it's in action. The woman is currently putting her iPhone in it. Now, if you see something like this, you might think, well, I won't ever do something like that because this is so much work. I need to find a good rig model. I need to do tons of rigging. And then once I have the figure looking right, I then need to do enhancement with AI so that the rigged 3D person actually and position 3D person actually looks like a real human being. So this is so much work. It may be, but it is a legit workflow, and I think we can be happy that we have actually the means to do all of this because there are wonderful rigged people models out there at Axis, for example. And I know that a lot of you, I see it in the group on a daily basis, a lot of you know how to do enhancement of 3D people with the help of AI. So there's actually nothing stopping you doing something like this even. But of course, as usual, you can also be smart about it. So if we go back to the first shot, you see we don't necessarily see the person here, we just see a fragment of their fingers. If we take a look at the next shot, for example, once again, we don't see the whole person, we just see if their arms, like the gym bro and the smoothie next to him. Or this example here, this is a great one because here the project is in the front, it's in focus, and defocused, blurry in the back, we have this dude who's doing some working in some type of costume with a mask on. So you can easily use a cutout or a 3D model from whatever you want to do something like this, and you'll still achieve wonderful realism if you're after that. But you can be even smarter. And of course, it depends on your project. I'm sorry, but if you have something like this robot vacuum, for example, then you don't need to include people. This is actually why we have robot vacuums in the first place, right? Because so that people don't do the vacuum, but the machine does. So in this case, it's enough to just put some motion blur on the small brush here, which is constantly rotating, and then you have an action shot or a lifestyle shot. Here's another smart example. Just take a look at this. Obviously, people are golfing here. You see just the shoe of somebody. It doesn't need to be a person. You can just place a shoe there and a stick and then the balls, which the whole thing is about, and you already get the whole story around it. So yeah, you can always be smart when you do something like this. And now let's get to the fourth and final shot type. It's the hero shot. It's probably the most beloved one out of all. It's meant to be informational because let's say this one here tells us that this Bluetooth speaker is probably kind of water resistant, but mostly it's meant to be intriguing and emotional, capturing the viewer's attention. It's you take a look at this and you're like, oh yeah, I want to have this thing for sure. And as usual, as we already been doing it the whole time, I'll show you a few more examples of such hero shots. Generally speaking, the hero shots tend to be the most engaging ones because they really intend to make you feel like you just want the project. And they are usually also the most artistic ones. Like you see here, the PS4 controller, probably it's just an orange skin for the regular controller, but if it's something new and you want people to buy it because they already have the black controller, why should they invest money for something else? Well, show them how hot it is, show them how awesome it is, it's lit, go buy it. Or this one I love. There are multiple layers here that I really enjoy. So first of all, you see that there is a lot of dynamic to this shot. So obviously this protective serum bottle has been rolling from the right to the middle here where we have taken the snapshot, and you see we still have the waves and the splashes, which adds a lot of dynamic to this shot. And at the same time it says protective, and you see where the bottle has been, there is no water, which means that the protection actually works. So there are multiple layers here, and this is absolutely amazing example by visuals by Noor. The next one is also by them, and what you see here is something else. So this is more like an environmental nature statue, and you see the cream bottles being placed on it, and this is telling a different story. Here it's like most probably that the ingredients of those creams are very nature bound, and this is appealing to people who are, let's say, into eco-friendly or bio projects. and want to have a healthy or nature-bound lifestyle. So you can do a lot with those hero shots. Here we have a different example. We have beer in the woods. This is another example by Duovis. I think this one is from Miha. Um, Amit says the water also has some light diffraction. Here, yeah, this is really, really cool. This is a very skilled shot. Even though it looks very basic at first glance, it's a great shot. Monique asks, are these images made in Corona? I think some of them, at least the Duovis ones, are actually made in Corona. So the one that I showed you here, because some of those are photos, of course, but this image here or um, this one, if I'm not mistaken, is also made in Corona. And here we see another example. Someone can ask, well, why is this not an environmental shot? Well, because beer unfortunately doesn't grow in the woods. It's if you have an environmental shot with beer, you will put it in a bar or in a restaurant or something like this, but not in the woods. But what you see here is something which is a hero shot. This is why the beer doesn't initially belong there, but it's kind of cool to see it there. And of course, now we can start making assumptions. Maybe the ingredients are once again very nature bound. I mean, beer ingredients are nature bound, but maybe the labels here is made out of recycled paper and stuff like this. So it's always great if we have some have room for interpretation. Alan says the beer render is made in F-Storm. Okay, so this one is made in F-Storm. The other one was in Corona. Many options out there. Okay, thanks, Alan. Next, we have this lamp, and this is a very different image to the previous one. So this was so natural and organic, and this one is really, really strong and bold. But once again, here we have some subliminal messages. So first of all, this lamp is made out of glass and not plexiglass, as many lamps nowadays tend to be. And while plexiglass, it doesn't break that easily, surely, it also doesn't feel that great and it doesn't look that great as well. So what I'm showing here is that the lamp is made out of glass, and the second layer here is that glass is actually something fragile, right? But what we can create with glass, especially put into this form and with these joints here, is something which is actually very massive, very strong, and very bold. So once again, very, very interesting messages on a subliminal level that you can put into hero shots. Another example by Duovis, I don't know which render engine, don't ask me, but this one I really, really love because it seems kind of simple, right? You see these cosmetic items, I don't know what they are, so I won't name them, put into a bowl with sweets, I assume some type of marshmallows or something, and you see in front of a pretty monocolored background. But still, this image is so appealing. Even if I don't need this type of cosmetic projects for myself, I take a look at it and it's just such a feel-good image that I think, well, okay, I'll get one. You know what? I'll get one. So this is just a very different example to the previous one, but with the same strong impact. Or take a look at this example by Brian Rogers here. These are some Bluetooth speakers, most likely with some LED behind them, but the way they are depicted, stacked upon each other with atop of each other, with some smoke around, some effects in the night sky and stuff, it just makes me want to go, okay, give me one, I want to have it. For some reason, I'm not even sure why exactly. Maybe I'm just an awful consumer, but this is what hero shots and project shots are mostly made for. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Now, with all of this, with all the praise about the hero shots, I'm not trying to tell you that this is the one you should go for, because every one of these situations that we saw here are absolutely valid and legit options to go with. I personally very much enjoy environmental project shots, but even the basic pack shot could be very, very impactful if done right. Obviously, if you make a pencil and then put it in front of a white background, it won't be very impactful. Let's all agree on this. But if the project that you decide to go with is something which on its own is kind of strong, has a bold form and something, it could actually even be the better option. As you can see here with this whatever jaw saw, as you can see, it has tons of detail to it. So if you place it in a situation, among other tools, this could probably just be one of the tools. But showing it like this, it actually shows all of its features, all of its, everything that it has to offer. So in this case, this may actually be the right decision. Maybe it shouldn't be in front of a white background, but something more interesting, maybe some color or some gradient. But sometimes this is enough. Maybe some of you remember the iPod advertisement from back then, where it was just dancing silhouettes with the iPods um, on them, and it was strong enough for the whole world to start buying iPods. So yeah, Apple is definitely very good in doing lots of those shots, especially, but also this one, also the pack shots and the hero shots. But there are tons of examples out there that you can take a look at. Some by photographers, maybe not perfectly executed, but nevertheless very cool ideas. Others, you just need to look for a specific type of shot, like here, lifestyle product photos, and then you get very, very cool examples. Also, there are lots of ways for you to approach this task. You don't need to definitely, you can be smart about it. You can, for example, use Gaussian splats. V-Ray 7 is coming out sometime in November. It supports Gaussian splats. Just try to imagine visualizing this bicycle. This is your project, and then just using scanned environment all around it. By the way, if you're curious about this and the whole V-Ray 7-bit beta and all the functions, Jonas Nö yesterday shared a tutorial on this. And yeah, here you were able to see him playing around with the Gaussian splats. And as you can see, this is something which is absolutely amazing when it comes to project visualization. It can save you so much time. You can do an environmental shot just with scanning and then putting your object in this perfectly photorealistic scan. So yeah, there are lots of options. Be creative, but also be smart. Once again, if you don't have much time, then try to go with something smaller but more impactful. Educate yourself, do some reading. Don't only rely on this article that I'll be sharing with you, because I'll make an official post about this challenge. Then I will link this article, but don't rely only on it. Do some reading. It's important that we are knowledgeable, not only experienced, but also know some theory as well. And I would also recommend challenge yourself. Um, Challenge yourself. Amit is asking for the, yeah, it's for V-Ray Beta 7. Challenge yourself to something. If you want to learn, you got to challenge yourself. As I brought the example with a pencil. If you make a pencil in front of a white wall or white background, this will be easy, but you won't learn anything new, and you probably won't be having very high chances of winning the first place. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this one. I really hope it's interesting to you and that a lot of you will participate. Be smart. Once again, you don't need to do something which is extremely difficult in order to be the best and win. You just need to do it right. Let's say in all the phases. Do some good modeling, texturing, and then depict your model in a good fitting way, and then you have a very real chance of winning this challenge. And once again, I think it's 2 months should be actually enough time to find some time in your schedule to make this work. So yeah, I think this is enough about this one. Rafael joined us. Hello, man. We'll be talking about your work in the inspirational phase. But before that, if you don't have any questions about the challenge, we will move on to the work in progress projects. These are the ones that we actually focus the most on in recent times. We are the most in depth on. And after that, we'll take a look at some projects that have been really nice from the group, including yours, where we just focus more on the general impression, on the good stuff, why they are so nice. And if there is something small as an issue, I definitely mention it along. So, okay, let's take a look at the work in progress stuff. Before we continue, let me tell you, I always focus on the projects that have been shared on the last Friday, work in progress Friday. We do this every Friday. This is we did a survey on this. You said you wanted it to happen every Friday, and this is what we're doing right now. I usually post a small image, which is, I don't know. Let me just search for one in order to show you. Yeah, I usually post the image, which is inviting you to start sharing your work in progress works, and then you're allowed to, or encouraged to, share everything from early model phases to clay models to, let's say, variations of one and the same scene, and ask the others about their opinion or specific questions on a certain topic. And I only focus on the second Friday because, the show happens every 2 weeks. And between the first Friday and the show, there are usually 10, 11 days, which is kind of too much for a project which is in the works. I think this is too much time. It doesn't really make sense to talk about this. So I focus on the second Friday, so last Friday. And then we got two works, one by Kama and one by Juan. This is the project by Kama. This is an ongoing one. It started like a month ago, approximately, with this tone model that Kama shared with some explanations about what he's about to do. And I and others also started providing him with feedback, which he listened to. So on the Friday before the last show, the last episode of the show, this was the state that we discussed. Then he got feedback during the show, and then not the last Friday, but the Friday before this, he shared this one. And once again, Amit and I provided him with a lot of feedback. I even started. It was time for me to get my Wacom out and start drawing on it, just to save time, because the goal of this is not for you to waste time by preparing for ages to share stuff here. The goal was just to is just to help you while you're in the process of creating, so that you get your images right the first time around. So yeah, this was the previous state from the Friday before, and this is what we have on this last Friday. Once again, Kama was given feedback by Abdi and Amit. Lots of feedback. You're doing great, guys. This is exactly how those days are meant to be. And now let's take a look at the current state of this work. So I would start with the good stuff. First thing that comes to mind for me is, let's take a look at the surroundings, is the nice surrounding buildings that you have now everywhere. Because 2 shows ago, as we talked about your project, then some of the buildings were still kind of unfinished. Others were not really fitting in their presence. But what you have now, I think that everything fits very, very nicely to this city, and I think it's great. Also, great amount of architectural and urban detail. You see, we have all those street signs, traffic lights, street lamps, different types of bollards, but also some small details like the garbage bins, or here some facade details, the cafe shield here, or the lantern, the sunshades, the cafe furniture, the planters. There is so much help going on, and it's exactly the way it should be, because this is what makes especially an urban situation image like this authentic and lively. Also, good work with the textures. They seem realistic. They seem fitting to the general color scheme. You found a great solution for the foreground. I was recommending to you something else, something like a European city with all the benches and planters and these urban elements in the middle. But you decided to go a different route, and I think this makes a lot of sense. Instead, you went with different types of pavements, which makes the floor look interesting and not monotonous, and also with puddles. And those puddles reflect partially the building or the surrounding buildings, and just making this foreground interesting instead of boring and monotonous, which is absolutely great. The lighting is now also better. Last time your sky was kind of very similar to the little building, and I was missing the contrast there. This time you have a more overcast sky and a better contrast. Also, you have this nicely dark foreground to the background of which the building sticks out in a very nice way. Now here we have something very interesting. Abdi doesn't agree with this. He says, hi, in my opinion, your image needs a bit more exposure, especially in the foreground where the shadow part is. Just keep in mind that this is just a shadow and it does not create a night scene at that time of the day. And this is absolutely correct. Abdi is technically right. Just because this is lit up doesn't mean that we suddenly have here a night mood in the foreground. However, what I assume Kama is going for, Kama you are going for, is something different. I don't think that what he wants to do is actually a photorealistic image in the terms of the way a passerby would see it during the day. I think Kama is going for a bold visual statement. And I'll show you a few examples about this. Yesterday, I found this image as a reference. And as you can see, this is a day image. We have a blue sky, we have sun. This is probably sometime late afternoon. And just take a look at the shadowy area here. It looks literally like a night shot. And the reason here is because of the tone mapping and the post-production of this photo. The artists here decided to go with an artistic image rather than a fully photorealistic one. And this is why they went for this very strong and bold contrast with very big difference between the bright and dark areas. Later that evening, I found another project that Danushka also found and shared with Kama in the Keeping It Realistic chat. It's this project by FAR, however this is pronounced. Take a look at the images. Take a look at the first one, for example. Obviously, if you are somebody who's there at the moment and you're taking a look at this building and the sky, you won't see the sky with such heavy vignetting to it. Because this just doesn't happen in real life. This is something which happens to a camera, but not to a human's eye. So if you want to make this image like realistic in terms of somebody who is being there and watching this building, then you, of course, need to remove all the vignetting. You need to brighten up the foreground and things like this. But if you want to create a strong and bold image with an artistic approach, then it's actually very legit to use means like this, like heavy vignetting and things like this. So what will we do next will be something experimental. We haven't done this in this show so far, but I'll try to take this image over to Photoshop, if you don't mind, and we will try to create something the way at least I imagine this image should furtherly develop in its post-production to actually turn into this bold image that I assume Kama is going for. So what we'll do here first is something that Amit pointed out, and I very much agree with. I don't quite understand, Kama, why he decided to put those letters and the museum name so far down, because now it's behind the tree, which isn't that great. So first thing I would do is I would create a copy as a new layer of this one. And then I'll press Control, click on it so that we have the same selection. And then we'll try to make generative fill just remove this. Let's hope it works. Oftentimes, generative fill just is very, very stupid and doesn't do what I want it to. But usually when you don't write anything in the prompt and mark something, then yeah, exactly the way it happened right now, then generative fill tends to just remove it. So I will make the layer that we copied in the beginning visible again and put this thing somewhere up here. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think it would be better for your final stage if you put this name further up. So next we'll press Ctrl A, Ctrl Shift C and Ctrl V in order to place everything atop on one layer that we can then continue working with. And now it will do something very unorthodox that you usually shouldn't be doing. But in this case, given that this is like a personal project, not a client's project with certain dimensions to it, let's do something interesting. So as you can see, Kama says, you think the color of the title is right? Yeah, for sure. Why not? I mean, you can do it in red if you want to have some of this contrast here, but the black is actually very good. So you see there is a certain problem with this work of yours. You see that there is this heavy distortion, especially here around the edges. Take a look at this street sign. It actually should be a circle, shouldn't it? But this is what a circle looks like. And yours isn't a circle. So yeah, let's give it a transparency. So you see, this is not a circle. And this distortion is bothering me a lot. And you see it on the people as well. Just look at how white this dude is, or this one here, or the car. Everything is distorted. So the unorthodox thing I would do here, if I were you, would be to just take the image and simply shrink it in its length, like this. Maybe around, I don't know, as much. Press enter. Now let's take our circle and take a look at this. You see? Now we do have an actual circle here. And the proportions of the people, the cars, and everything else also seem way better. So next thing we will do, now that we have a new image, is we will crop it to the new dimensions. Okay, now I think once again you're going for a bold, artistic, heavy contrast. So I think in a situation like this, you can then also improve on the sky as well. So next thing I will do is I will actually replace the sky. Yes, the distortions are caused by the very low focal length value of yours. So you have two options here. You can either go higher with your focal length value. In this case, you have to pull the camera way back and you see different things in your foreground. You have a lot more foreground, which I assume you don't want. But you see, we managed to make a pretty cool image, even the way it is now. So let's go to the spectacular skies and choose this one. Mario says from the project itself, how do you avoid bigger lens? How do you avoid that bigger lens? Yeah, higher focal length value. You really need to go higher with your focal length value. Go with 70, 80, and then you have less distortion towards the edges. It's just the way it is, but you also have a lot more stuff happening in front of your camera that you're actually not interested in, because this shot is actually meant to focus on the building and not on your foreground. Okay, so we took this sky. This is more dramatic. We have a heavier contrast here and just more happening on the sky, because there is a lot happening down here and we want something to even it out in the sky. I will remove this mask. I don't like it, because you see, when I remove it, the contrast becomes even more pronounced. So it's once again time to do our Control A, Control Shift C, and Control V, so that we put everything on one layer. Then we'll press the right mouse button and convert this into a smart object. And next thing we'll do, we'll check out the camera roll filter. Ahmed says, hi Theo, how are you? I was busy today, but I still can join the show. It's great that you're here, Ahmed. And you can also watch the recording and make sure to do so, because I'm talking a bit about the challenge for the next 2 months. Okay, now it becomes interesting. I'm sorry, my Photoshop is in German for whatever reason. I actually wanted to change it, but couldn't succeed. So this is just the way it is. But I'll do my best to translate everything. So we'll start with the light rollout. So first I'll add some exposure, because I want this to actually shine almost. Mario says, when it's a daylight, how do you add this sky in Photoshop? With the same approach, or do you have backgrounds? Well, you see there is the sky replacement built into Photoshop, and then you can, of course, if you have an alpha map, you can just do it with your own backgrounds. VW Art Club has these sets of backgrounds and backplates that you can use for that. They're amazing. Done by Vasilis. Okay, let's get back here. So we have the exposure at plus 0.15. The contrast, of course, we got to pump this up because we're going for contrast here. So let's get it, I don't know, 23. Lights, we'll pump them up as well because we want the bright areas to actually shine. Shadows, the shadows will make darker because we're going for this type of contrast, right? The whites will again just bump up a bit because we don't want the image to be overexposed. And the blacks, let's go at minus 15 here. And then we're done with the light rollout. Now let's take a look at the color rollout. We have an exterior scene in the autumn. The autumn usually is kind of coldish. So I would go with, let's say, -5 color temperature for the whole mapping. Now, to even this out, because why should we just go for dark and bright contrast? Why not also go for a warm versus cold contrast? So to even this out, let's go down here to the color mixer and check the saturation of the orange and yellow tones. We have them here in front of the building, on the trees, on the lawn, on the car. So let's pump them up real a lot, like 50 and I don't know, 15, 13, something like this. And now we have this contrast between the kind of coldish sky and surroundings and this warmish stuff around and inside the building. Okay, now let's go back to the effects and add some structure to strengthen the whole thing and also add some clarity. Don't go overboard with this, just values around 10 is pretty okay. Next thing I would like to do would be to add some detail to this image, maybe something around, I don't know, 15, 13, 15, something like this. And then we'll go to the optics, and then I'll add a lot of vignette. I'll just be wild here because why not? I'll go with, I don't know, 50, 60, something like this. 55. Okay, let's go with a middle value of 55. Okay, and then I'll even go a step further because why not? And I'll add lens blur. So of course you can also render it out, but we can also include it here in the post-production. Just select the focus picker down here and click somewhere on your building. And I would say this is the image that we end up with. And if we compare it to the original, you see how this kind of looks bland. I know that you're not ready, but take a look at this one. This is closer to the images that we saw in the beginning as a reference for a bold image. So if you're going for something like this, if you're going for an artistic image, then go full in, double down on what you're doing so that it becomes visible that you know what you're doing, that you're just following a certain style or a certain goal, and you're not just not competent enough to know that during the day foregrounds or shadow areas don't look like they were in the night. So just be bolder about it. You can just add more vignette if you're into that. You can just make it darker if you want to. And you see how nicely your building suddenly sticks out now. It's the first thing I see. When I open my eyes, it's the first thing I see is this thing. Mario says, damn, you're crazy, man. Why? Yeah, again, it's a bit of some unorthodox methods here, but this is what the show is for, right? This is a campus. We're trying to learn from each other, and this is what I would do if I had this image at my disposal. This is the way I would go. Now, if this is what you are planning to do, this is what I advise you to do. If not, if you want to make the most realistic, photorealistic image in terms of the way a person standing there would actually see this building, then maybe do what Abdi advised you to and brighten up the foreground. Mario says, Theo, what do you use to export your renders from Corona? PNG. Just PNG. I have enough color depth and enough quality with the PNGs. Kama says, very helpful, thanks. So tell us, Kama, is this what you're going for, or is it like that absolute photorealism? Because obviously this is more artistic than photorealistic, but nevertheless, it's a very cool image. So yeah, other than that, I would say the building to the left, this is cool. It adds this massive volume in the back, which is kind of balancing out the image. I like this. but I would say it needs more detail to it. And of course, all the people and elements that you said you'll be doing in the post production, then you have to do. And yeah, can't wait for the final image. Kama says yes, for sure. This is what he's going for. So I guess we were correct here. And yeah, then you can always watch the recording and see what I did here, but you can do it in your own way. You don't have to copy this. I'm just trying to encourage you to go to be bold, to double down on what you want to do, so that you have a very strong statement in the end. And you guys can tell me also what you think. Mario says, great, me too. I used to do so in EXR, but I always got different gammas and could never fix it, so went back to PNG. Yeah, PNG is absolutely amazing. This is what I do in Corona. Keep it simple, folks. Okay, so that's it, Kama. Take your time. It's great to see this project evolve and become better and better. So take your time, don't rush it, and make it one of the best images in your portfolio. And it would be it would be awesome to have been a part of this progress and of your growth as an artist and of you creating this amazing image. In the end, to me at least, this is how it feels. But I'm sure that everybody else who like Abdi or Amit that provide you with feedback will feel the same. So yeah, good riddance. Make it work, and we're looking forward to the next phase. Okay, Kama says it's very nice, your quick post. Yeah, very happy to hear that. Now let's take a look at Juan's work, and please be exactly as active as you were. So Juan, this is another ongoing project, the first stage of which he shared almost around a month ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think he started off with Kama. First stage was him sharing this very, very nice mood board and even some blue hour illumination shots. Of course, this is a very different type of project. This is a commercial one and a very heavy and complex one. So they are not to be compared, but this was a very, very good start. Then, not this Friday, but the Friday before, Juan shared this image, which I gotta say was a bit sobering, because gone was this sense of a large scale to the project, that we get here. Here it looks like this structure in a big city, and here it's just a hill with some cuts in it. Sorry for putting it like this one, but this is how I felt. Nevertheless, Mario and I provided Juan with feedback, so I was expecting him to, build on this one and to see the next phase of it. But yeah, last Friday he actually shared this one, which seems like he's going back to the roots, back to the initial plan. And if we read what he says, hi friends, I updated the images of the project. I changed the camera of the project so that you can see the gardens and the city better, as well as an image of the detail of one of the entrances. This is this one. Later, I will put more people at the end, but as you can see, the compositions now. So good for me here is that you've gotten back to depicting the sense of scale this project actually needs, because this is a structure in a big city. And once again, if we take a look at this, this is exactly what it looks like. This wasn't it anymore, but now you're heading back into the right direction, which is something great. Talking about the modeling, because this is not an easy one. You have this amorph structure, and it's also very, very large. But from what I see, it's actually very cleanly modeled. The lighting moods that you tend to go for, like the day mood, which it's a very good idea if you turn all the lights off for the day mood, so that like the surrounding and the cover is lit up and what's inside is dark. And then for the evening, you do the opposite. The cover is dark, but it's shining from within. So this works, and the framing, especially on this shot, also works. I really like this one, assuming the biker won't be riding on grass for the final version, of course. But I really like how you can see that you can go underneath this structure and actually come out on the other side, underneath those buildings. This is pretty cool in the urban aspect. Now, what is it to do? First, I would say you need to add more detail. You said you'll be adding more people and stuff, and this is something that you unfortunately really need to do. People, urban elements, plants, more structure to the lawns. It's really needed because otherwise the scene simply won't be believable and will always look like some render. I know what I'm talking about, believe me. At some point, I had the pleasure to work on the second largest vacant industrial property in whole of Germany. This is what you see right here. And believe me, this was a chunk of work. And it's I know it's not very impressive scene like this, but because it's actually meant to be plotted on a huge canvas. But if you zoom in, you'll see how much detail this stuff actually has. So you see the supermarket sells supermarket stuff. Then we have the drugstore, which sells cosmetics and stuff. Then the um, pharmacy, which sells like medicine, and the bio shop, which has more of vegetables and fruit, and then the discounter, and then all the people and all the urban elements. Just take a look at how much detail is actually irrelevant for the building railway station has, like all the shields and uh, the lights and the benches and all of this. I know this is like really really exhausting, especially if you're a single artist working on something like this. But it's the amount of urban detail and people and cars and everything that makes a scene like this believable and a pleasure to look at. The next thing I would say are that I have as an issue, these are the viewing angles. Why? Because if we go back to your mood board in the beginning, the viewing angles nicely represented this structure in the urban context. And I think it even says it down here, even though I don't speak any Spanish, but I always try it because I enjoy it. But here it says importancia de contexto y urbanización. And I think it means that it's important to see this structure in the context of the urban situation that it is placed in. And if we take a look at, what you have here in the moment, we have a very low, very flat angle to view at this structure, and we also cut parts of it off, which is kind of unfortunate for the viewer to be able to understand it. So what I would suggest is analyze your mood board references once again, because if you take a look at this down here, you see how the structure itself is way more important than what it happens inside of it. Here as well, here we have a wonderful contrast between the dark surroundings and this very bright structure. Here, this is something different. This is more like the entrance angle that you have. Here we are within the structure, so it makes sense that we don't see it, the whole of it. This is something like this shot. We are already inside or at the verge of it, and then we see it up close. But and with this one, here we have a very repetitive structure, so we can assume what's happening, but we also see some part of a detail of it as well. So this is kind of a mix of both. But I think that the initial direction that you were headed for, at least for those distant shots, was the correct one. And then having an entrance shot is also a bonus for people to better understand the scale of the structure. Now, obviously, if you place the camera higher, if you zoomed out a bit, you will see more of the surroundings, meaning that you have to also model more of the surroundings and populate it later, which is a ton of work. And I assume you don't want to do it. As a workaround, I have heard that people in the past have been able to extract Google Earth data and then place the mesh into their models, or so I've heard. Not saying you gotta do it, but maybe do some research on this topic. I remember Simon, who is sharing some links in the chat. I see sharing this work a few shows back. This was a competition one that we discussed. And you see here how he has the Google surroundings around his project of interest. And then I took over to AI, to Stable Diffusion, and I actually reworked, because the mesh key is obviously quite fugly. I reworked it and turned it into what you see here. And I think this might be in a parallel universe a solution for you. So think about it. Do some research. I don't want to keep talking because of reasons, but yeah, I think it's a very exciting work what you have here, and also a very complex and difficult one to pull off. Let's be honest about this, especially as a commercial work. But believe that you have the skill set, and you're an artist that would put in the effort to actually make it work. But make sure that what you depict in the end actually makes sense. So if you want to show this structure in an urban context, then you need a high camera and you need to zoom out a bit so that people can actually understand said urban aspect. So yeah, keep uploading your progress, and we'll keep providing you with feedback so that you get the best outcome in the end. Okay, I think we're done with this. Let me check the comments, and then we can move on to the inspirational projects, so the projects that have been shared in the group for the last uh, 2 weeks. Amit says this is a great path late for Kama for the final image by Uteo. I hope so. It would be awesome. I enjoyed the way it is, but my taste isn't the ultimate taste. It's just the way I enjoy things. If you share this one, I'll be happy to know that. Simon says this guy has some nice tutorials for Photoshop, especially for grass. Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Simon. Juan says, thanks, Theo. You're very welcome. And I really hope that this is actually helpful to you. And yeah, consider a workaround. Okay, now let's take a look at some inspirational projects. We'll start off with Mustafa's Zanzibar Resort, a wonderful commercial work. Let's hear what he has to say about it. Hello, guys. I would like to introduce my last work to you, Zanzibar Resort Architecture Visualization, designed by Batea and Partners. This project aims to achieve the quality of life, being sustainable, and also to respect the nature with the community engagement. I want to thank Ahmed Batea, the mastermind who invested and worked a lot on this idea and also was very determined to bring it to life, and of course his team as well. I hope the visuals evoke your senses and to make you live this project as we did. Is this a typo, or was it meant to say love? Because actually both work, because the images that you produce are so lively that they make us actually live through this resort. Software used 3ds Max, Corona, Photoshop, Bridge, and Forest Pack. So first things first, great description. It's great to know more about the background of the project, how it came to life, and stuff like this. It's always great. Please keep doing this. And now let's check the images, and I think we can easily agree that they are really, really good. This project also got you lots of likes and attention, and it's a huge one. This is a really, really big piece of work, but still with tones of detail to it. We can see when we get closer to a situation how much detail carefully crafted detail it actually consists of. And also what is really amazing to me is this consistent high quality throughout all the images of this session. This is really, really cool. um, I really enjoy the high local authenticity, because Zanzibar nature is not like Bulgarian's nature or the German nature or China's nature. So okay, maybe a bit, but so obviously there are differences here, and depicting a certain location in a way which is very representative to the way this location actually looks like is something that is not very easy to achieve, but you asked it absolutely. However, the highlight for me, after going through all of these images multiple times, is, and of course, apart from the amount of work, the skillful modeling and scattering, is the range of the scenes, situations, and moods that you've depicted. Let me explain why. So we start off with this first image, which is, let's say, your typical resort advertisement shot showing the goodies, the pools, the happy people, the great tropical plants, the public spaces, the terraces, all of that. And this is great, nothing wrong with this. But then you continue with a different type of shot. The second one doesn't show as much of the goodies or the architecture as much as it shows the point of view of a resort guest. So what we see here is what one would actually experience when they book a room, or in this case a bungalow or whatever this is, in this resort. So we see that people will have those natural surroundings around them. We'll see that the ocean is in an arm's reach. So yeah, now we're presented with the qualities that the resort offers to its guests in combination with the nature. And the next shot only continues this. This is a very cool action activity shot, which depicts the qualities of the location, the nice sand beaches, the clean beaches, I'm sorry, the clear waters, and the animals, the fish that you have there. And also, it's a nice visualization of the way this resort actually is integrated into the nature. Because in your description, you said that part of the concept is that it respects nature, and what we see here is an evidence for this. The next shot, suddenly we change the camera altitude, suddenly we have an aerial shot, which on the one side is of course very informative because it gives us some info about the resort's layout. So we see this is probably the entrance area, then there is a big hotel with two pools around it, and then it gets fragmented with these bungalows or whatever they're called, and then there's the beach and then the ocean. And on the other side, it once again emphasizes how nicely this project is integrated into the nature. And believe me, this actually means a lot, especially, from my personal side as a Bulgarian. You see, the whole eastern border of Bulgaria is actually made out of water. It's the Black Sea. So there are lots of beaches in Bulgaria. They don't have the same type of nature. We don't have palm trees, but they are still very nice and green and a pleasure to be there. However, lots of greedy people destroyed the nature there by putting some huge, humongous, ugly hotels, hoping to make a quick buck out of them, which in turn made these nice natural areas into city quarters, more or less. So you completely lost the whole feeling of being among nature there. All the trees were cut off and stuff like this. So seeing something like this so nicely integrated into nature is actually a huge quality, and it's beautifully depicted by you here. Now let's move on to the next shot, and we suddenly have a very sudden change of pace and mood. We have an evening mood with a very casual and natural shot, and this is what I enjoy about it, because we see this is probably some type of a yoga space, or I don't know, meditation space. I see here relax, nature, pranayama. So obviously this is the direction it is going, and the atmosphere, and just this woman just standing there minding her own business. The lights not pushing it too far. It doesn't look like Las Vegas. There are lights enough for the people to see where they're going, but it's still very nature bound, very laid back. This very much goes together. This room here and the whole atmosphere of this shot. Next, we again have a change of pace with a day shot, which is again more or less the point of view of a resort guest, where it becomes visible that visiting this resort or booking a room there doesn't feel like being in a glossy hotel in the city, but it rather feels like being in this local village, or visiting a local village and living in it, which is of course amazing. And this is something that I as a tourist would prefer to the glossy hotel any day. Next, we have this lifestyle shot. Once again, these are the typical types of shots for these types of resorts, and it's great to show all the assets, the sunbeds and the pools and the happy people and all of that. And finally, we have this, let's say, party evening mood, but once again, it is very elegantly on the scale of the surrounding nature. So once again, it doesn't look like New York or Las Vegas or some type of a big city. It just has the proper scale. Also, the whole lighting, it's a beautiful lighting, by the way. First of all, it makes sense. Once again, it's there to illuminate enough so the people can feel safe. They don't trip on something, but it's not there to illuminate the people and everything. It's not about the architecture, it's about the experience. So I think that Ahmed Bater, if it was his name, that if I recall correctly, did a great job, and then found the right person or the right team to depict his idea, because you were very eager to hear my opinion on this work, and I would say you did a terrific job on it. Um, Made this resort absolutely desirable and appealing to people. Amit and I think, wrote to you that we'll immediately pack our suitcases and travel there if we could. So, yeah, I really have high expectations for your future works. If I had to criticize something, sure, on a scale like this, not every surface looks perfectly realistic, or, sometimes things look flat and not so good. But honestly, when you put so much work, and you have this scale presented to the viewer, it's not about small details. It's actually more about the general impression, and the general impression is wonderful here. So, yeah, congrats on this wonderful works. Thanks for sharing, and keep doing this. Just tell me, please, did you do it on your own, all of this, or did you do it as a team? And if it was a team, how many people were involved in the work? Thank you. In the meantime, I will move on to a different type of weather. Here we have the nice warm weather. So now let's check out some coldness. With Chihan's work, it's, as he calls it, chaos vantage render. So it's type of a study. Chihan is doing lots of those, and he's doing great. The interesting thing here is that these are Vantage and V-Ray renders. However, they have been completed and extended with the help of AI. In this particular case, it's Adobe Firefly, if I'm not mistaken. And the good thing about it is we have these very artistic shots. They're bold, strong, atmospheric. They got him a lot of attention. Once again, many likes. Um, but to me, the highlight here is just let me show you something so that you don't think he did everything with AI. Just before I continue, let me finish Mustafa's. Let me read Mustafa's comment. He says, "I'm really happy to hear your comments. I couldn't describe it better, and you're right. Some surfaces have problems, but the time was tight as well. No, I have done it on my own, but the design have done a good job with doing the general model using SketchUp. So this is a work done by one person. Respect, respect. Even if you had a model in the beginning, I think you did an outstanding job with the rest. Good for you. Okay, let's get back to Chihan's work. So before we continue, let me just show you something. Um, So if you think, well, Jihan just maybe made a box and said and prompted something around, yeah, make a cabin and make some surroundings like this. This is not the case here. This is the initial image of this cabin, and this is the extended version. So he did already an amazing job with the modeling, with the atmosphere, with the lighting and everything, and more or less just used AI to extend his images. And I have nothing against it. It's not that I'm 100% into AI. I also have my issues with it, especially in more recent times when I'm searching for references, and every second reference is some shitty AI image, which isn't even especially good. Then it's getting on my nerves. And there are, of course, the issues that we know about, people who don't want their work to be, used to train models, and it's still getting used, stuff like this. But in the end of the day, I think AI is here to stay, and I think what counts in the end is that we make good images. And if we use a camera for this, or I don't know, 3D software or AI or whatever, or we draw the image, in the end, it just should be a good image. So I think in this particular case, it was Tihan who laid the foundation, and AI who just took over and extended it. Just so you know, it's not just him making small box and AI doing the rest. And what I like here so much is the mood, the mood of enjoyable solitude, or so I would call it. It's radiating for me from all of those scenes. The buildings don't look, and the scenes themselves don't look desolate and lost. It's more like the contrary, actually. It's like people who actually enjoy raw nature and deliberately made a choice to live among it. And these are their houses. This is how I would call those sessions. And the lighting scenarios are, Chihan could have gone with the regular sun and sky, which would fit nature and a house in it. But instead, he chose violence. He went with these really moody, overcast scenes. And to me, this was the right decision because the mood here is the strongest point. If I have to criticize something, this would be your description, dear Chihan, because it says only chaos vantage render. So gladly in future tell us more about it. And when AI is used, please mention this in the description as well. Nothing wrong with this. Every second artist in this group uses AI at least to enhance the looks of their 3D people, but it needs to be mentioned because otherwise people can think that somebody is trying to deceive them. And I'm sure this is not the case here, but still, please do in future. But nevertheless, very inspiring. I really enjoy those and the mood of them. Uh, Mario says, I hate it even in Pinterest. Yeah, the fake, the bad AI references. Yeah, Pinterest is full of them. Recently, I was searching for stuff there and I found some images that looked nice at first glance. And then I took a closer look and there were so many mistakes and so much stuff which absolutely didn't make sense at all. It seems like some people are currently making money by just spitting out AI images for references for those stock photos as on a conveyor belt, like just creating 50 images per day so that they make money. And this is really sad, actually. But enough about this. We've been a lot on the outside with the first two projects. Let's get in for a moment and take a closer look at the Japandi room by Rafael done in 3ds Max and Corona renderer. So what we have here is a beautiful session of a very minimalistic interior. Modeling is fine, good materials, pleasant color scheme, especially for a bedroom. Bedrooms are spaces where we go to wind down, to relax. So we don't need bold colors there. These vanilla, beige, whatever colors, gray are very, very good. And also warm colors, preferably. And all of this we have here. But to me, the highlights here are the framings and the compositions because they actually feel right on every shot. Starting with the first one, it's true that Rafael did cut off some of the bed, but this is absolutely not an issue. Why? Because beds are mostly symmetrical. So what we see here on the left half will most likely be the same on the right half as well. And same goes for nightstands or nightstand illumination. So probably on the other side of this bed we'll have the same marble table and lamp hanging above it. So showing those will actually be redundant and it will needlessly extend the cropping of this image. And the way it is now, it is way more balanced and way more interesting to look at because we also see this other part. Now let's take, and of course we have some beautiful tonal contrast. You see the brights here, then the darks, and brights again, and so on. It's always beautiful to see something like this. Monique says, really amazing minimalistic design. Totally agree with you here, Monique. Second, let's take a look at the framing on this one. I think it's the right thing to fit the whole twig into the framing. Because once you put a twig into a vase, it's not only the vase that we're looking at. They become one entity, and then we want to see the whole entity. So of course he could have cut off a bit of this. We can still imagine that it probably have some blossoms more and that's it. But in this case, the main actor is the whole thing here and not only the vases, so it makes sense to include it in the framing. And the depth of field is beautiful, really sweet, blurry background, very cool. Next, we have a very Japandi looking close-up with some nice materials, nicely balanced. The only thing I would change here, Virtue had a very good observation. It seems like the major light source of those wall art images, pictures, I don't know, paintings, let's call them paintings, is not right. So what he did is he flipped them over so that so he mirrored them. So because we have a major light source here to the right, and it seems like this major light source is now creating these shadows here, which is looks very, very cool, if you ask me. So great observation by Wachu. And the other thing that I would personally recommend is to put something here. However, it should be something which doesn't distract. So it could be something like a big gray box with no detail on it, or some lying book, encyclopedia, or something like this, which doesn't have much on it and it has the style of this. Just to, for this to not be this empty. Now, the fourth shot, it's like a distant version of the previous shot, which to me is even better because now the composition is also better. Because what we have here is this funnel effect. So we have our perspective narrows down here to widen up afterwards, which is always a great effect in photography. So great. And also here we also have some beautiful tonal contrast here with the brights and the darks, and once again here and here and here. It's just beautiful to look at. And finally, we have the view on the opposite side, which is absolutely textbook minimalism photography. Beautiful depth of field here with the lamp in the front and a bit of the wood on this sideboard. Then again, the funnel effect, it's narrowing down and then it opens once again. And what we see here as a motive, this arrangement of this chair and the wall art, beautifully lit up. This is just a perfect shot in my book. If I have to criticize something here, this would be your description, similar to Chihan. It's very short. Tell us more about the project type, the project background, the workflow that you used. I mean, you've mentioned the used software, but you can maybe tell a bit more about the workflow, nevertheless, the challenges you faced along the way. You know, it's interesting to know how a project like this comes to life because, as you can see, it's inspiring. Okay, let's move on. After a bedroom, let's move on to a bathroom. So, in the beginning of the show, we briefly mentioned Bilal's tutorial on how to create this bathroom, the two shots that you see here. Um, let's see what he shares. Well, let's see the project itself. It's called Minimal Bathroom, done in 3ds Max Corona and Photoshop. Here he gives reference image links, two of those, and says, I saw this amazing bathroom with big windows and I immediately thought of creating this in 3D. I also recorded a tutorial along with it for you guys to learn how to create this kind of realistic interior lighting. This is awesome. It will be available to watch tomorrow. Put your thoughts in the comments. So let's take a closer look. First of all, fine description. Last time I criticized your project descriptions and you immediately listened to the feedback, immediately improved, and it's always great to have to see something like this happen. Rafael says, in the next, I'll feel more information. Thank you very much. The way it's I think it's the first time we talk about the work of yours, Rafael. So it's not a big deal. Just the more information you share, the better the viewers can understand, and they can also learn from you. Your work is a quality work, so people ask themselves how you do this and that, and the more you share, the better this community works. Because remember, this is a campus. We learn from each other here. Thank you. Okay, back to Bilal's work. Definitely, we can agree on this. Clean execution, good modeling, great looking materials and assets, really good. Final outcome, totally convincing. I really like it. Great, you did a tutorial on this. However, to me, because I try to avoid speaking about the same artists on shows following each other so that we don't repeat ourselves and that everybody gets a chance. But in this case, I wanted to show you something that caught my attention and I think it's very, very cool. So the highlight here to me is Bilal's smart approach to the space creation here. Because what he did is actually he fused two projects together, but you don't see it the first time you see this one. Because you see this bathroom and then to the left, obviously the room is continued. And when you go back here, you see what actually happens to the left. It's where the toilet bowl is situated in front of a window. So far up in a building, that's okay actually. So he flawlessly merged two projects because as I showed you in the beginning, here there are actually two reference image links. So let's check them out. So the first project is a visualization project. Generally, I recommend if you reproduce something, reproduce photography, architectural photography, or whatever you are into, project photography, automotive photography, and don't reproduce visualizations. But if you do, then reproduce something really good. And this one is one of those projects that are really, really good. So we'll scroll down a lot until we find this bathroom. Here it is. And then if we scroll down a bit more, we'll see that actually the toilet bowl is situated to the right. And but in our case, it's actually to the left. So what's the issue here? Well, it seems like Bilal has just combined two projects. The second one is the apartment in Bratislava, which has around 1 billion images to its name. So we have to scroll down a lot to find it and see what we see here. So Bilal just took the bathroom or the toilet bowl situation from the Bratislava apartment and made it as an extension from the initial bathroom. And this is great. Why? Because sometimes we don't like our whole reference. Sometimes we just like a part of it and think, oh, this is great. But if I look in the other direction, it's not cool anymore. And in cases like this, we often tend to refer to different references for the areas that we don't like. And this is exactly what Bilal did here, and in a very, very good way. And this is something that I would recommend to all of you. If you see something that you like a particular part of, but not the whole, then try to find references for the other parts and then put together something new. There is nothing that speaks against it. In the end, you just need to put a link to all of your references or credit all your references, and then that's enough. If I have to criticize something here, it's the second shot because the backplate's perspective doesn't really work with it. So instead, maybe just do close-ups or maybe some shots to the right here to the shower area. And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the original, uh, here there was a tall vase with some pampas in it. And this is a better choice. Why? Your plant looks great, but first of all, it's kind of similar to the background. And secondly, more importantly, it's kind of a blobby, whereas the original plant was very tall. And as you can see, verticality is one of the main qualities of this space. You see, everything has verticality to it. If it's the mirror, if it's the faucet, if it's the walls, everything is kind of vertical. So when you have this verticality, even the toothbrush. So when you have this verticality, try to have it in as many projects, objects or sets as possible. So try to go for a longer, more elegant base, not longer but taller. Sorry, but that's it. Nevertheless, this is a great reproduction, and it's even better that you did a tutorial about it to help others learn from this how to do this. You've been doing great lately. Please keep up doing it the same way. Now let's continue with another great reproduction, this time by Gustavo. Gustavo says, recently I tried to replicate a photography of a project called Casaflix by Gon Architects. Um, and he definitely did. It's very realistic, very authentic. Here he shared a photo of the original reference. Let's open it on the side and compare. So this is the reference, and this is Gustavo's work. So I think we can all agree, apart from being realistic and authentic, the highlight, sorry, the highlight here is the effort Gustavo put into creating a reproduction as close to the original as possible, because you see he put a meticulous effort in creating this, and every detail is in there, the space proportions, the architectural details, even the assets. Take a look at this, the chairs, everything, the materials, the color scheme, the lighting, everything is close to perfect. As it says here, I'll hide myself so that you see, as it says down here in the comments, well, the only thing missing is the girl sitting on the bed. There she is in the original photo. We don't have her here, but this literally is the only thing missing here, because other than that, this is almost a perfect recreation. And to me, the amazing thing and the inspiring thing here is Gustavo's dedication. To me, this is a sign of a great artist because of this awesome attitude. Because skills can be learned. Even if you don't have them, you can learn them and you can get them. But if you don't have the attitude to really do your best, to put in the effort, you'll never be a great artist. So seeing something like this always fills me with joy, because I know that it doesn't matter in which phase of his experience Gustavo currently is, he shows everything needed for an artist to be a great one. So yeah, this is definitely great job, and keep it up and keep sharing your work, dear Gustavo. And with this, I think after 2 hours, we are actually we reached the last job or the last work that we want to talk about today. We started with a public area, the Zanzibar resort. So let's also end the inspirational phase with a public area. It's the project called Minerale by Giuseppe. He writes, "Hi guys, these are the images of a project carried out in Milan for which I took care of the architectural visualization. I hope you like them. Constructive advice is always welcome. It's done in 3ds Max, Corona, Photoshop with the help of Creator AI." So once again, first things first, very nice description, Giuseppe. Really nice to know more about the project. But of course, what's more important is very good implementation of this work. What immediately sticks out to me when I take a look at this image is the great mix of natural and artificial lighting. You know, in real life, with projects that are actually implemented like this one, it's usually not the 3D artist or the architect. There are actually professionals, lighting engineers who do some, who actually make sure that the light that is put into establishment like this, for example, I don't know if it's a bar or a restaurant or a winery, I don't know, doesn't matter, that it actually works during the day and also in the evening, of course. And what we see here looks so natural. The way the natural light fuses together and mixes together with the artificial light, it's just really convincing and really, really beautiful to look at. Of course, we also have realistic materials. Just take a look at this taco here, especially near the lamp. It looks amazing. Some quality assets as well, elegant staging. Oh no, this one is actually my favorite here among these last two shots, but I decided to still go with this one because for the triptych I was going with a central perspective, so this one kind of worked better with it. But the staging here is just very elegant. I love this. The highlight, however, for me or this project is the general atmosphere. On the one hand, it's kind of pleasantly inviting because everything is so open and bright and generally just welcoming. And also, it's so authentic and lively. You see how the staff is being busy, the barkeepers doing their stuff, the waitress interacting with the client. The motion blur also adds to this because there is this dynamic, this movement in the shot, despite it being a static one. The scene just feels and looks right. It looks like something that you can enter during the day and find exactly looking like the way you've depicted it. And this is a major quality, at least in my book. Now, you asked about some constructive advice. So, if we zoom in here, I think that the design in this area here is kind of questionable. This, however, doesn't seem like an issue on the visualization side, but more like an issue on the planners or architect side. This area is just, between the bar stools and the chairs is just too narrow. Now, I assume you are aware of this, and this is why your answer to this was to place the waitress there. Now, this is actually an elegant solution. However, it's also kind of a two-edged sword. Why? Because on the positive side, placing her there shows that there is actually enough room for a person to be there. On the flip side, however, it's also an evidence, seeing her here, imagining that she has to go back through between those chairs, is also an evidence of how narrow this area actually is. So I think maybe in the end of the day, it depends on the viewer. I am an architect, so I tend to see issues with architecture when there are some. So maybe this is one thing, but if it's like a casual viewer who just sees this beautiful atmosphere, they won't see the problem there. So I'm wishing you that more casual viewers are the ones viewing this. And the other thing, the framings of those railing shots. The first one being this here, the side shot. Like, you decided to focus on the glasses and the snack, and then have the, cafe or bar restaurant atmosphere in the back, which is pretty cool. I really enjoy it. However, the background is very messy. So our by using depth of field on this shot, you placed a focus, and the focus defines your major players. And the major players in this case are the wine glasses with the snack. And we want to see the major actors. We want to see them properly. But if the background is so messy, let's call them, if so much is happening there, we don't properly do so. So the solution here would be to maybe move the camera around until you find a slot where those or a positioning where those wine glasses are placed in front of a more of a calmer and maybe darker background so that we actually get to see them, or alternatively decrease the f-stop value of your camera so that the blurriness becomes stronger and we can still get to see them. It's true, you'll lose some detail in the back, but your main actors will still be visible. And the other one, and it's actually the more problematic one, is to me this one because it just has so much going on and no clear focus. Like there is the counter and the decorated wall and the wines and the arch and the railing. It's just too much to look at. And when we have so much to look at, like everything to look at, we end up with having nothing to look at, unfortunately. So I would say in this case, maybe move this around. If we copied this over to Photoshop, sorry folks, I don't want to hold you back much longer, but we're almost finished. So yeah, if we take a look at this, I would say either move it like this so that you isolate the counter and the wall decoration, and the viewer can only focus on the arch, the wines on the wall, and the railing and the opening to the floor, like three major elements, or move it to the other side until you have the arch, the wall decoration, and the counter. Once again, three topics. But the way it is now, you have five topics, and that's kind of too much for the viewer to take. But of course, these are peanuts, as you can imagine. This is one wonderful project, especially given that it's a commercial work. So yeah, I personally, this is something to be proud of. If I had this project in my portfolio, I'll definitely be more than proud of it, and I hope you are too. And with this, we're actually at the end of the show. There is only one thing that we need to do before we say our goodbyes, and this is for me to show you the best of contenders for the next 2 weeks. Once again, I'll prepare this officially tomorrow so that you get to vote for this the same way you did the last times. And then I always pin this post up here. So once you enter the group, you will see it among the featured posts and you can easily get access to it. So this time it's a bit of an exception. Giuseppe says, thank you, Theo. You're very welcome. What do you think about this? You're here now. Please let me know what you think about this while I'm presenting the thing. So initially, I usually prepare the show mostly on Monday. And I had picked my 5 images that I wanted to introduce to you. But today, this image here by Abbas was also shared in the group. And I definitely wanted to have it among the images that you get to vote for. But the thing is, I didn't want to remove any of the other images because I like them all. So this is why I just added it to the set, and now we have 6 images. I hope this is okay with you. Please vote for only one of those when you're giving your vote. And remember that you're voting for the image, not for the artist, for their political beliefs, religion, sex, gender, whatever. It's just about the image itself. So let's go to the images. This one by Abbas, I really like it. The atmosphere is truly amazing, and it's something different. It's almost like a project shot, actually, for this type of furniture, for example. So it's very, very interesting. Not classical Arvis, but very nicely emotional. Next, we have Flatson's Porsche. This is more of an automotive shot. To me, what makes it especially interesting is the dude standing by the car looking like, yeah, take a look at my wheels. It's just very strong, very bold. I really enjoy this one. So yeah, you can vote for it as well. Next, an image that we just saw and talk about, Giuseppe's Minerale restaurant or bar or whatever it is, with its amazing, very welcoming atmosphere, with very lively, very cool to look at. I love this one. Next, Mustafa's image, another wonderful example of visualization that doesn't necessarily focus only on the building, but where the surroundings, like the nature here, are very, very important, and it's also very emotional, beautiful to look at. Next, The Beautiful Minimalism by Rafael. I love this one. Once again, this is a very human scaled minimalism. It doesn't feel like one of those um, types of examples of minimalism where you have the feeling that it belongs in a museum or as a part of an exhibition, that you're not allowed to touch it because you destroy the balance. Here, this looks like something that people could actually use, but it just looks very, very cool. And finally, this is a very interesting one. This is Save's work that he did for the Arvis Masterclass competition for Nikos. If you remember this one, they had to create a bedroom for a chosen character from movie or TV. This obviously isn't a bedroom, so it's understandable that Save didn't make it among the finalists. However, the image itself is very cool with its bold color contrasts and the whole color scheme. I really enjoy this one. So, once gets one more chance to participate in a challenge with the images he made. I really like this one. I actually like them all, and it would be very, very difficult for me to pick one out of all of those images. There was, by the way, no particular order other than the alphabetical order of the names of the creators of those images, just so you know. It's not like first one is or last one is the one I like the most. It's just the way your names are. So yeah, you get to vote for your favorite image here. Please do so, and let's see which one of those six amazing images will end up gracing the group's cover for the next 2 weeks. But first of all, we'll have our current one for the next 2 weeks, but for the 2 weeks after that. Okay, before we part ways, don't forget the Force Pack webinar tomorrow and the Chaos Campus live show with Maria from Narrative and Nikos on Thursday. And as usual, it was a great pleasure hanging out with all of you. And I'm wishing you a good rest of the month, even though in this month we'll actually get to hang out together 3 times. We did so on the 1st of October, now on the 15th, and on the 29th, which will be the next episode of the show. Until then, please stay safe and be healthy. Rock on, and ciao, my friends. Much love. Bye. And thank you.